Paul Thomas Anderson has a new film in theaters this weekend. It's called One Battle After Another, and it is getting hype. I mean, it's getting a lot of hype. Like, it's getting people saying it's the best movie of the decade, people saying it's the definitive movie of the decade. So with all that early hype, I was very eagerly anticipating this movie. I did like the trailers. I do like Leonardo DiCaprio, and this would be my introduction to Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography. So I was pretty excited to check the movie out. What did I think of it? I'll tell you here in this video. Before I do, though, it would do me a huge favor if you would subscribe, like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. And the most important part is tell me if you have seen the movie, what are your opinions on One Battle After Another? And if you haven't, are you excited for it? And what do you think of Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography? And with that said, One Battle Another is not the best movie of the year. One Battle After Another is not the definitive movie of the decade. But One Battle After Another is pretty damn good. It's a very good movie. Like, saying that it's not the best of the decade just means that it's not that good. But it's still a very good movie. But it also has a few flaws that we will touch on later on in the video. Starting out with the positives, I gotta talk about the cast. Pretty obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio is phenomenal. Just like he is in everything. He is genuinely so funny in this movie. Has this charisma. And I found myself thinking throughout the movie, this guy makes it look like he's not actually acting, that he's just doing this so effortlessly. It's been a while since I've seen a performance where a character is just flowing. It doesn't feel like he's an actor. He just feels like he's a person. And I felt that that performance captured that. I thought he was great in here. Sean Penn as the villain in this movie is also a big standout. But the one standout to me was Benicio del Toro. If you don't know, I'm a huge Del Toro fan. Ever since I saw him in Sicario, which is my first Del Toro movie. Now, every time he pops up in a movie, I think he is by far the best character. And in this movie, obviously Leonardo DiCaprio does outshine him. But Benicio del Toro, still funny. His movements, his dialogue, the way he says it, is obviously great. This cast is stacked. And so is the direction by Paul Thomas Anderson. It is a very good direction. Every scene is shot so perfectly. There are a couple sequences of oneers that I thought were really good. I saw it in IMAX, and I don't necessarily think you need to see this movie in IMAX, but there were a couple shots where, like, you're seeing these big mountains, and I'm thinking, that is really cool. And all the action, all the other sequences, you can see everything perfectly. And obviously, the director has more than just the camera work and all of that. I think that the script and everything that the director, Paul Thomas Anderson, had to do for this movie was done pretty effectively. Speaking of the script, it is a very good script. The story is a story I really enjoyed. I saw the trailer and then I watched the movie, and then I thought that the movie had a completely different story than I expected the film to have. And that's a positive. Around halfway throughout the movie, maybe a little bit more than halfway, the complete story takes a turn where you think it's going one direction and the rest of the movie goes a completely different direction, where the final hour and a half is pretty much an extended chase sequence, which I thought was really cool inside the movie, and always kept my interest from a certain point on, adds to the intensity, and that's another positive, is this movie can be pretty intense. Several edge-of-your-seat moments, several sequences where you don't know if characters are going to live or die, several sequences that don't really have any dangerous stakes, but you're just on the edge of your seat dying to know what is going to happen next. So I thought that the story was fresh, while also the movie was intense, and the script was sharp, the dialogue was sharp, and I really enjoyed the movie overall. From the beginning of the movie, it's a little bit slow, and we'll talk about that, but the first 45 minutes of the movie is essentially a prologue to the movie, where now sitting back couple hours after watching One Battle After Another, I'm thinking, that's actually, I did really like the prologue. I wasn't a big fan of it while watching it, but thinking back on it, it was essential, it was important to the story, and I loved how everything mattered in the film. Not a single sequence did not matter. So, One Battle After Another, I really did enjoy. I feel like, and I'll have to talk about this here in a second, but I feel like we hit one certain sequence and then we're off. We hit one certain sequence and I was disappointed up until that sequence, and then I was thinking, this is actually really good, and it doesn't quite slow down. Another pretty huge positive is the movie is genuinely hilarious. Again, just like I said, Leonardo DiCaprio, he flows so perfectly in this movie, and he is genuinely a funny guy in this film, where there's a running gag throughout the entire movie that had me in tears every time, because I was just laughing so hard at the performance, at his banter with everybody else, and there were several just other little gags sprinkled throughout this movie that actually, I heard the movie was funny, I didn't know if it actually would be, and I watched it, and I'm here to tell you, the movie is genuinely funny, mainly because of the performances, but then again, the script has a running gag carried by the performances. The movie is genuinely funny, and it's, like I said, once we hit a certain point on, it never slows down, so it's just joke, action sequence, joke, chase, 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 intensity, 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 and so, pretty much after the first hour, I started to really love this film. I started to really dig One Battle After Another, but I do got to touch on that first hour. It is really slow. Like I said, the first 45 minutes is essentially a prologue, and it feels so convoluted, in my opinion, where, not to spoil it, but like it feels like all these moving pieces, and it's just kind of coming in way too quick, and I don't know where this movie's going, and I don't know what's happening. When we get the time jump after about 45 minutes, I was thinking, okay, yeah, I'm enjoying this one a little bit more. Now that we're not going to focus on that story, which I think was getting a little bit too repetitive, and I didn't know if I would even like the movie if that story kept continuing, we kind of changed complete directions, and then I started to get invested. It did take me a few minutes to get invested after the time jump, because that prologue got me a little bit worried. And like I said, I respect the prologue more now that I saw the entire film, because the prologue was a little bit convoluted, but it also set up things perfectly that had payoff throughout the entire movie. So, movie is really slow. I feel like my dad, if he was going to watch this movie, would probably check out after about the first hour, and then maybe get back on board throughout the last hour, 45 minutes of the film. Because that's when the movie starts to pick up. That's when the movie becomes worth watching for me. I do have a couple nitpicks as well. This is a rated R movie, and so obviously it's an action movie. You're going to see people get shot. And almost every time, I think every time that someone gets shot, you're looking at the back of the character. Like, there's one sequence where a dude gets shot with a shotgun, and you're like, oh, we're going to see it. And then it shoots to the back of the character, and you see the character going, you don't see the blood squirt, you don't see anything. And I know it might be a little bit messed up that I'm calling that a negative, but when I want to watch a violent movie, I want to see the blood and stuff. A lot of people are saying that the story is kind of like emotional to them because it takes place like this certain time. We had events happen recently that a lot of people were saying it's kind of like this movie with like the not illegals, but the deportation stuff that is happening in our world, and it kind of touches on that. And for me, I said this in my Eddington review, I'm going to say it in this review, when I watch a movie, I watch a movie to be taken away to a different world. I don't watch a movie to have to watch the exact same politics that I live in on a daily basis, because politics aren't even really my thing. But when I watch a movie and like the first sequence is people saving Mexicans from a deportation camp, and it's, you gotta stop throwing the Mexicans out of America and their people too, and blah, 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 blah. Like the first scene in the movie, and we're getting like a monologue saying, yeah, this is for the revolution, government sucks, screw the government. Then I start being like, okay, I don't really know where this is going. Fortunately, like I said, I feel like the first hour is pretty flawed. The rest of the movie does get on a better wavelength to me, that I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would have enjoyed it after watching the first hour of the film. So, like I said, really like the film. I don't think it is like the defining film of the decade. I don't think it's the best film of the year. I don't even have it in my top 10. Honestly, it is in my top 15, but not 10. But, I mean, it's still really good. That's just my personal preference. I'm still going to highly recommend you One Battle After Another. So before I give you my final score, if you would, do me a favor, subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what are your opinions on the film. And if you haven't seen it, are you excited to check out One Battle After Another in theaters this weekend? Go check out the film. The box office numbers aren't tracking to be good. Well, that doesn't matter, because I'm telling you to go out and check this film. But if you'll wait till Sunday, if you're a football fan, because tomorrow we got some pretty big games on Saturday. But still, whenever you can, go watch One Battle After Another. And with that said, One Battle After Another is a really good movie. It's got intensity, it's got fantastic performances, and it's pretty funny. But it does get off to a slow start and takes a long time for me to get invested. But when I do get invested, it becomes a movie I really, really liked. That's why I'm giving One Battle After Another an A-. Alright guys, thank you for clicking on this video. Stay tuned for several more videos coming soon. The Alien ranking and the Strangers ranking are all coming soon. With that said, subscribe.